Are you a composer? Are we composing? And a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5. Is everything right? It looks a little different this week. It looks a little different than last week. This is a new week. New week, new me, new you. And we're going to start with you, Mark, because it seems like you have a troubled face. You have a troubled face. First of all, we're 8-1. We've only lost once. This is week 9. You have a troubled face. What's bothering you?
No. I'm just enjoying the company.
Well, you haven't had company in a while, huh?
Well, no, I've just been busy.
Mark,
No,
your outlook on life is you're always busy.
I'm always busy.
And then sometimes you're like, we're taking a vacation to Palm Springs.
Well, because I like to basically pile drive myself into my work and then relax like crazy.
Why do you think you're like that? Do you get anxiety if you're not busy?
I get
Is that what it is?
I think I get anxiety when I'm not busy, but also like the whole reason I'm doing what I'm doing now is because I was so tired of waiting for things to get done.
Understand, you're saying in your previous job.
Yeah.
So now you're doing stuff.
So like, do you know how long a movie takes to get made?
Way quicker than it used to.
Not at all.
Yes.
No, like in a typical track.
I mean, there used to be
talking
5
3 to
movies
5
a
years
year when we were growing up. There would be 5 movies a year growing up. Now there's 37.
That's just there's more studios.
Fine.
And financiers.
It's still the turnover time they can get one out in 6 months.
Not at all.
Yes.
You're so off base.
I have friends that have shot movies.
You mean that they wrote a script and were shooting within 6 months?
No. An actor gets booked, shoots the movie, it's done. 6 months.
Okay,
if you're going to take it from the writing point.
You're already like 90% through the process by the time someone's getting cast.
Mark, when someone says, do you know how long it takes for a movie to get made? We're assuming you're talking about like, all right, day 1, shoot, action. We're not talking about the writing, the schedule and shit. Nobody's talking about that. That's
I am.
But nobody thinks that. If you went to the general public on the street and we did a man on the street and we're like, hey man, how long does it take to make a movie and when does the movie start? And they'd be like, yeah, when the first scene starts. You know what I mean? Like nobody's thinking about things. Well, you gotta fucking write the thing and then you gotta like schedule out the shoot dates and then book the hotels and stuff like blah, 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 Mark. We get it. Everybody's busy, but are you happy?
Oh, I'm extremely happy.
Mark, do you want to be a father?
I need some dogs first.
Mark, you're 34.
I'm 37.
Bro, how do you keep getting... How are we the same age now?
We've always been the same age. I'm like, wait. When's your birthday again? When's your birthday again?
I'm literally next month, June 19th.
You're June 19th, 84.
Yes.
I'm March of 85.
But Mark, your real birthday is July 11th.
Sure.
We've
gone through this.
Here's the thing, Mark. It seems like you were always a couple years behind me, and now you are catching up.
Gray hair?
I believe.
Are we talking about maturity? I'm light years beyond you.
I believe. Well, that's because you have to be. I don't. It pays for me to be more immature. I always thought you were a couple years younger, but you need to know by 37. You need to know if you want a family or not.
I want kids. My wife is unsure, but she's younger than me.
How old?
2 years.
Well, hello, honey. I understand there's technology, but like we're already there's no shot at 3 kids at this point.
No desire for 3 kids.
But nobody has.
We're talking like 1, like
you know what? Only childs are weird. They're weird. No, people.
I'm a youngest, so like I get it.
You don't want an only child. They're spoiled. They're needy. They're emotional. They're weird in school. People are like, that guy's weird. Why? Only child. Doesn't have much of a personality. How is an only...
Wasn't socialized.
I wonder, you know what would be a good stat? How many comedians are only childs?
That would be a good study.
What would you guess?
You know what? I take it back. I think not many. I think most of them are going to be younger brothers or younger sisters.
Okay, let's just go off of what we know. Okay, just off of it. Joe Morisi, a younger brother of 3, I believe. but not sure, but definitely know that he has an older brother. Okay, Fahim Anwar, a younger brother, only 2 of them.
Craig younger.
has 2 sisters. I believe there's 3 of them. Chris D'Elia, brother, but he's the oldest.
Oh,
Okay.
But he's got big brother energy.
Yes,
He
got
does.
the alpha rock guy, whatever.
He's not trying, like, Chris isn't that guy who's pining for attention. He's the person that kind of sprinkles his comedy like, you're lucky to get my attention.
Interesting. That's an interesting observation. Yes, you're right, because the rest of us are like, look at us, we're funny.
Chimber?
Maddie.
He sparks me as an only child. No, wait, he's got a sister, doesn't he?
He does. I think I do.
He's got an older sister?
I want to say young. He might have an older. I recently think he posted. He might have.
Or is he a middle child?
Maddie has siblings.
Okay.
Let's just go with that for sure. He's not an only child, so that's 5.
Okay.
Name someone. I don't know about Renee, but he's Mexican, so
Renee
for sure has siblings.
has older siblings.
Of course he does. He's Mexican.
He's got like 10 siblings.
Okay. Name someone. I'm blanking just on
Anthony Sturriddy
has a brother.
Older or younger? He strikes me as a younger.
His brother's younger.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Okay, I could see that energy.
But we don't know what Anthony is yet. The guy's just still like a quiet guy in the corner. Hold on. Bobby Lee has a younger brother. Marquez has a brother, but we don't know much about Mark's family because they're in Ireland and Mark's illegally here. But I know that his brother has kids.
Do you want to drop his address?
His brother has kids, so he's not an only child. Name a comic, and I'll let you know if I know. So far, 9 comics. None of them are only child.
Tony Klein, younger brother. Ben
Tony
Gonzalez,
Klein,
younger
Ben Gonzalez.
brother.
So far, no only. So I would
all
say.
Younger brothers.
So then, based off of my analysis, only children don't have personalities. They don't grow it. They're not funny. They don't, because there's no one to bounce jokes off of.
And then my analysis is that they're all younger brothers.
Which is closer, which I would say, yeah, 2 of the 9 to 10 that we named, maybe for sure. Why am I like blanking on Amir K? I'm not even positive. I think he has siblings. Yes.
He strikes me as a guy that has siblings.
But I'm not. I actually.
He's a younger brother for sure.
Oh, I'll tell you, he does have some. I'm not really sure about him. I don't know about his sibling thing. Wow, I don't even know about Santino. Does he have a brother or sister?
What about Little Amir?
Little Amir has a sister, and she's younger.
Okay.
Trying to think of like comedians. Have no idea about like other comedians like Kevin Hart or Jerry Seinfeld or.
I feel like we would have heard about it. Another Seinfeld.
Chris Rock has a lot of them, but he's the older brother of many. He has 2 younger brother comedians. That's a big family.
But Chris has got the same Chris D'Elia energy of being the older brother. Of like, I'm just real tired of your shit.
Okay. Don't know about Anthony Jeselnik. Neil Brennan has brothers and sisters because he's talked about that in his specials.
Okay.
Tosh. No idea about Tosh.
Schumer.
No idea about Schumer. But we don't consider her
a comedian anymore.
I
had this argument with my wife the other day. She's like, "No, she's a star," and I was like, "She's a comedian."
A star is not a comedian? Well, a stand-up comedian could still become a star.
That's what I said.
But she doesn't actively do it. She's not doing specials every 2 years. She's never going to be a GOAT.
Yeah.
She's not going to be a GOAT. She went into the different avenue. But I'm trying to yeah, I don't know, but it seems like there's rarely any. Dane Cook has even a sister.
No, Dane Cook has a brother. Isn't the brother?
It was a half thing. But he has a sister. He has a sister though. He has an actual blood sister. So basically the overall is like only children are not good comedians. If they are, listen, obviously there is someone out there who's an only child that is a comedian, but based off of what our study, not a successful one. That's where we're at.
Correct.
Wow. So I don't even know. The music probably should have faded out a while ago.
I would have figured it out by now.
You figured out this one because I didn't get to call it out because we just went into stuff. Let me just say this. Let me go before I go anywhere. Let's get it. I want to respond because I tell everyone every week. Comment on each episode, and if you have questions, we will respond on the following episode. Hopefully, here's the thing: sometimes a lot of episodes are shot ahead of time. This is a week 6 comment. This episode is week 9. We're 8-1. I had someone ask me a question. I don't really remember what it was, but I sent it to the producer. He'll read it for us, and we can get into that. And feel free for anyone watching for any future episodes. If something sparks an interest in you, definitely comment. Let us know what you're thinking or what you have questions about, and we can dive into that. Again, I also love to talk about stand-up on here mostly, and I believe that this is in regard to that.
Sure. So this comment was hearted by Michael Lenoci.
Yeah,
from King Nicholas.
I heart a lot of them.
Yeah,
I try to heart most of them if I see them.
Before I read this, are you having me read this because you can't read on camera?
I could read it.
Okay.
I could. Is there big words that you? Do you want me to read it to prove a point?
I know. Just we know you.
I could read, but I just think it's bad for the camera.
Fine. Do you want me to read with emphasis, or do you want me to be monotone?
Just read the goddamn comment, Mark.
Love all your stuff, man, and you don't get the credit you deserve.
Okay, well, that part I didn't need.
If you ever come to Seattle for a show, I'll be there.
Thank you, man.
Not sure if
it seems like you're being condescending the way you're reading it.
Not sure if you already talked about this, but how did you get into stand-up? How did your first few sets go? And do you remember when it felt like you had your first successful one?
No.
Cool.
So moving on. No.
I was going to say, you could have just replied. No.
No. Well, I got into stand-up, I think, for how everyone, you just go up. You just keep going up. And you've always wanted to do it. Most people always wanted to do it who do it.
Did you want to do it before you went to college?
Yes.
When do you remember when the moment you wanted to? You were like,
yeah, I exactly remember.
Where?
I was watching something on HBO. I don't know who it was, with my dad, and I was like, I was like, do they just make it up as they go? And he's like, no, it's a whole routine. And we were watching it on like HBO, and I was always a fan of SNL, and I was like, oh, that would be fun. But then I saw the stand up. I'm like, that would be really fun. So like 6th grade, I was like, oh, I think I would want to do that. And then I would say it. I'm like, I want to be a comic one day. I want to be a comedian.
But were you saying that and then like never giving it any shot, or were you like secretly writing shit?
No, I wasn't. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't writing stuff.
Did
but like
you do
I
like
did
a high school talent show? And
no, I was in drama in high school, but I did make little like prank sketch videos when I was in like 8th grade.
What was that called again?
The White Boys Show.
Okay.
And I have them out there, but it was like more of like a Tom Green show. He was my first big influence that I loved.
Okay.
Loved Tom Green. And maybe one day we'll have him, if he ever comes back to LA, we'll have him here. That would be a cool interview. But he was a fun one. And that's when I would do it. And then in high school, I just, I cared about my friends and partying for the next 8 years of my life going into college.
So did you do it when you were in college? Or
no, but
college?
I would watch it a lot. I was watching Dane and Cat Williams. Those were the 2 biggest ones during college, and they were hilarious. And the Chappelle Show, and then
did you ever see yourself getting to know Dane? Like, I know you've shared a stage with him once or twice, right?
More than that.
Yeah,
we've shared.
But is that surreal
calls
for you to be like?
It was.
I was sitting in FSU. And then now, like, in the guy who I was watching, thinking he was fucking hilarious, is now the person that...
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think that I think I remember watching Chappelle Show a lot in college because it started like 2001. I was in high school, 2001, but in college it was really popular, 03, 04. And I'd like watch it and like, yeah, it's funny, but like I wasn't as high on it as other people. And then because the sketch show never like made my brain flow. The stand-up is what I really liked. Like I loved watching him do the stand-up part on the sketch show. I really cared about that the most. I respected and understood the sketches were funny, but I was more interested in like watching someone just talk and be funny. And Dane started blowing up when I got to college, like 2003, 4, 5, 6. I remember a girl came up to me and she's like, "You got to watch this guy. He reminds me of you." I don't know why, because we were both silly, right? And I was watching him and he was huge, and we would all, as he got big, watch all his specials as a group of friends. And then I had thought about it in college and I was like a fan of it, but it just wasn't realistic because I lived in Florida, and you're like, you got to go get a job and get married and have kids and pay your bills.
Did you get up first in Florida, or did you come out to LA and be like, I'm going to
No,
try?
I was doing sales in South Florida, and then and I'm sorry if anyone's ever heard this stuff before, but I just I wasn't happy, and I was just like, I foresaw the future, and I was like, I don't. This is what life is. You just go to work, and I hated that I was going to work at 9, and then you would get off around 5, no matter what job you had, and you would get home, and by the time you unloaded, it was like 6:30, and then if you did go to the gym, you came back. By the time you were like washed, it was like 8, and it was like that's it. Then you have like 2 hours, like, and then like you got to do it again, and I felt like I was in prison. I remember just feeling like this is awful. I can't imagine anyone doing this. And the fact that people do this every day for 50 years, like, I know that most people don't do something they love. Now, granted, there are people who are doctors and lawyers. You got to have some sort of passion to go through that schooling. So maybe there's parts of it they do enjoy. And I think that with a doctor and a lawyer and maybe some other professions that take a lot of schooling, your day isn't so rehearsed or routine. It's not a routine as much, but sales or any basic job is a fucking routine. I mean, when you were, where were you at? One of the, an agent or managing company?
Management company.
It's a little bit of a routine there.
9 to 7.
I mean, I think it's a little routine until you get with big clients, and then you're like, well, I get to go lunch with him. I get to go to his shows. Then it's like you're moving around more. When you're one of the bigger managers, then you can, like, you're in the office, you're fooling around, you're talking, you have young guys under you. Maybe
once you get the assistant, everything's much better. Because then it's like, well, I need to be at 10 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so then we were talking about the 9 to 5 life. That shit just seemed like prison to me. So I was just like, I don't want to do that. So I just packed my stuff. I told my mom I'm going to move to LA, and I'm going to move in with her and dad and work at Carrabba's for 4 months and save money and then move out there. And I did that, and I saved.
Wait, move to LA with your mom and your dad?
No. I'm sorry. I'm going to move to LA. So I'm going to move home to save money to live with my parents for like 4 months, save money. And I saved about $3,000 thinking that would be enough. And sure enough, that was gone in a month.
I was like, that was a down.
But
Deposit.
it's also 2010. Things were a little bit cheaper. Like, I think rent was like $740. I had a roommate. 2010, we were paying $740 each. Rent was $1,400 for a 2-bedroom in 2010.
Yeah, that's what my apartment is.
And now,
Rent control.
2022, a 1-bedroom is $1,800.
Oh no,
Minimum.
a 1-bedroom over here is 24.
You would have to find it, but yes, some are 24 depending on the building. You could find a 1-bedroom for 18, 19 somewhere in West Hollywood or Hollywood. I looked. You can. It might not be upgraded and modern, but either way, it's still crazy. And then I just started up here. And again, you just go up and you try and you think you're good. So the last part of his question was, when did you actually feel like you were really good? Is like, I don't know. I thought I was doing good. That's the thing about stand-up. You think you're doing well. Even when you're starting out, you think you're doing good. And then, like, now I can go back and look at sets. And I remember one time I got to go up in the main room at the Comedy Store early on. It was maybe like 3 years in, and it was packed. And I did like 5 minutes, and I thought I did okay. And I watched and I go, man, I could destroy this room now. Like I was like, oh, that was like, at that time I thought I was like, oh, I did pretty good, but I didn't. What I thought was good was what my own perception of laughter was. You know what I mean? Because like when you've never done it before, a giggle means the world to you, right? You're just up there and you're like, ha, you're like, oh, really? Like you think that's good. And you don't know comedy. Sure, you see someone kill You're like, wow, that guy's doing well, but you know he's well. And then in your head, you're thinking, do I come off as that way? Am I doing that well? So everybody's delusional. There's no way someone early on, I mean, maybe is just like doing stand up and they're getting some laughs and they're like, God, that was horrible. Like maybe like bombs are different, I guess. We're having more ringings and it's bothering me. And I think it has something to do with this. It definitely doesn't.
I bet you it's one of the microphones.
Really?
I'll isolate it.
All right. Well, it's fine. So I hope that answers your question. When did I finally, I'm trying to think of a moment when I'm like, oh, I'm fucking killing, but I probably forgot about that moment. But it definitely had to have happened early
I feel
on.
like that's a shame that you've forgotten that moment.
Because
that
you do
you've
so
done
many,
so
you
much.
do so many that it gets buried in there that like I remember certain shows, but like I don't even remember like feelings from previous shows.
Do you keep like a diary of your sets, anything like that?
Oh my God. I just remembered somewhere. I remember telling Fahim this. I wrote down monumental moments or big things that happened in comedy. And I don't know when I stopped doing that. Maybe 2015, 16, who knows? But I know the first 5 or 6 years I wrote down not like a lot, just like this happened on this day. This
5
happened
stars,
on this.
2 stars.
Just like, oh, I met this guy. I sat down and said something weird to Daniel Tosh. Da 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 da. And then eventually you're here forever. Like things just keep happening. You're like, okay, cool. Like, yes, I remember my first time seeing Dane Cook. I was at Runyon and I saw him run by and I was like, it was 2011. I was a year here and he wasn't going up when I first moved. He was like taking some time off. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. That's him. That's really one of the only few comics I knew. And that's who, I knew who Chris Rock was. I didn't even know who Louis C.K. was when I moved here in 2010. Like, I didn't know a lot about stand-up. I knew who, like, 4 comics were. And so I saw him. And then, like, over the time, you would hear people's reputations or how they perceived other people. And I never got to really know him. And then now I would say I've had interactions with him and they've all been positive and we've had to talk about similar jokes before. And I thought that was one time we spoke about, he was just like, hey, I do a similar bit. And he was just like, if you could, not maybe do it when I'm working. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, and it was very cordial and it was cool. And in my mind, I was like, this is crazy that this is happening, that we're having a discussion about bits.
I got a question. So did he come to you with that after you had just performed?
Yes.
Okay. Or was it something where he's watched your comedy and was like, hey, we're going to be on the same thing tonight?
No, he saw
So he had
it.
just watched it. He was about to go
He
up.
was,
And
he was
like,
going up after me.
you just killed like a minute of my material.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it was kind of like that. And I was like, oh, and I was like, no, I didn't know. And it was fine. It was a cool conversation, but that happens sometimes. And I just was like respectful. I was like, listen, he's the elder here. And I'm like, okay, if I know we're on the same show, I just won't do it. But I promise you it's different. It's, I have the utmost integrity for it. But, and that was cool for me. Even in a situation like that where you're like, is this weird? I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is a guy I looked up to for when I was a kid. So, and then, it's funny. I met Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel a couple nights ago at the Laugh Factory.
Okay.
I didn't get to perform. Dane did, and Chris did, and then they were out back, and we were all like 5 of us hanging out talking to them, and that was pretty cool. I mean, I would say Justin Timberlake's one of the cooler people in all of the industry. I mean, let's talk about his album for a second. Future Sex Love Summer. Fantastic. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're the same age, so we're like 22. You're dancing.
That was like 2006. That's still
yes,
one of the hotter.
Yes, because Timbaland produced it. Yeah. And that is why it is what it is, to be fair. Justin's great. He's a great singer. But I want people to put the respect on Timbaland. Timbaland is arguably one of the greater producers of all time. And he made that album. Mwah.
Like, if any of those songs come on at the reception of a wedding, like, I'm getting up.
Oh,
and
really?
I'm going to the dance floor.
Wow, I would not expect this from Mark. Mark, you dance at weddings?
Absolutely.
You're a dancer at weddings?
Absolutely.
Before we get into the weddings thing, Jessica Biel was always one of my, for sure, seeing her, and she's probably 40 now. She's just gorgeous.
She's more
even
beautiful in person.
Have you seen her in person?
Absolutely.
I had no idea. It was the first time seeing her in person. I go, you're even more like her smile, her glow. You're like, oh, this is why this person books so much. She has some angelic thing around her.
Hold on. Before you even go into that.
Yeah.
So there was a big hullabaloo a few years ago where she was like.
I'm sorry, what?
Hullabaloo. Like
I'm sorry, what?
A hullabaloo. It is an argument. It is an instance, whatever. Yeah, okay.
How did I find out about these words
Cold-heartedly.
the first time?
Oh,
wholeheartedly. I didn't know. You probably got a kick out of that one.
She yeah, I did.
Working with me, hearing me mess up things, you're like, oh my God, I didn't know.
So she had done an interview and she was like, it was super hard for me to get roles because I'm too beautiful. And she's probably one of the only people I actually agree with that statement. Where because she is to the point where she's not like a model, where she's like the tall, skinny runway.
She's definitely tall for a woman though. She's got to be like 5'8", right? She's definitely
but
tall.
To be a model, you got to be at least like 6.
Sure.
But at the same time, she's kind of that like super gorgeous. It's hard to cast her in something because she's almost unbelievable to be in a role that's like, well, she's not going to play lowly housewife.
But she's always worked, but she also started as a child actor.
Yeah.
She was in Seventh Heaven.
Yeah.
So. And
she was growing into herself, but like, what are the only roles she can play are the crazy bombshell.
Well, no, that show that she's the producer on, that weird one with the old guy who, was the president in Independence Day.
Yeah, so the ones that she was a producer and
no, but what's that show called? She does herself not flattering, and it's a good
she's
show.
Gotta like unflatter herself. She's one of those very few that like she might be too pretty.
She's very pretty.
She's better looking in person.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was noticing. I was just like, I mean, even he's very handsome.
Yeah.
But he makes himself rugged looking,
Yeah, he's
they're very, they are the Nashville-y looking people because they live in Nashville. I'm sure they have places everywhere, but they live in Nashville and here. That was cool. That was another musician I got to meet. And it's not a moment where I remember one of the waitresses was like, "Did you get a picture?" I'm like, "No, it's not a moment for that." You have to know, one thing you learn in Hollywood is you have to know when there's a time for that when you're meeting these people. Like, there was no moment where like, all right, guys, we're at good meeting you. Oh, can we get one before? Then you lose all credibility with those people because you're not treating yourself like one of them in a way. You're like, oh, you just want this for clout, right? Like, it was different. Like when we met Eminem, we hung out with him for 2 hours. And then afterwards, she's like, the lady, one of his assistants, like, well, let's get a pic before you guys leave. And then that was cool because they just knew they were, and it was an intimate thing inside. Nobody was around. You're outside on Sunset. You don't want to start things and people. It was just like, I believe actually one of, the waitresses at the Laugh Factory got in trouble for trying to ask while they were sitting down watching the show, which is like, you got to know those moments. But also at the end of the day, what is a picture really? This is what you get older is like, that moment's just for you. It's you have it. You lived it. Like at the end of the day, who cares? Like, you're not going to forget that moment. If you do forget that moment, then guess what? You forgot a lot of other things and you have dementia and you're dying. So it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, what's the lesson? We all die. What are you thinking about?
I'm trying to think if I've ever taken a photo with a star.
Well, if you're out of this element, like if you were walking around in Texas, it's very okay to do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But when you're in a world where you're working, like, hey, you're a comic at the club, like, unless they're upstairs and they're hanging out and it's like, okay, cool, we had a fun, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I don't know. There's just time. You got to know when. You don't want to be the guy who starts it, especially if it's not about you. Especially if they're talking to Chris. Like they're like, hey, we knew him. We wanted to watch him do stand up. They knew his name before they got there that night. That's way different than a young guy comic who's just like, hey, big fan. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't think I have one.
never met an athlete.
Oh no, I've met tons of athletes, celebrities, worked with celebrities. I just don't think, the only thing I could think of is like I took a photo like after an event I did with someone. But I was like, hey, like, but it was just kind of
Like if I get to do a conversation with Ricky, I'm gonna be like, let's even.
I don't even have that with Ricky.
But that's, you work with him as a producer. It's different. You don't want to
Yeah.
like.
I haven't even asked him for an autograph.
Well, what if the fuck autographs don't matter anymore?
Yeah, but I still want something like I want like
I never
a football
understood.
signed
I
by
understood
him.
autographs when we were growing up, because there
But I
wasn't
don't want
pictures.
like
I don't. What's the point?
I would want like a baseball card, football card, or
Why?
a football, or even a baseball.
But what
done by
for?
Ricky.
What?
Yeah, just whatever memorabilia. It'd be like
I'd rather
hey,
just have the picture and be like, oh, remember those good times I had with him.
fair enough.
That's what I like. Well, but for me, I would just rather just have a conversation
You
with
wouldn't
him.
want to get like a wedding dress signed by him.
I got Dwayne Wade to one time when I was working in South Florida. I found out he was at the JCC Center in Boca, and I was working in like Fort Lauderdale, and someone gave me a tip that he was there at the camp.
How far is that?
30 minutes.
So you drove half an hour.
I got out of work early, drove there because there
off
was
of
a camp.
tip. You were like, I'm
No,
gonna get in my car and go drive half an hour.
And I walked in, I go there and I said yes. And I go, I mean, dude, this is like this is 2008. Like he's the biggest star in the NBA at the time. And I drove and I go, hey, I'm here to pick up my nephew. I get in the gate, I go and I'm with my buddy Tim, who I picked up, and we're watching. We go into and we see him like he's like talking to all the campers, all these young kids. The parents are in the back. We're all watching him. And then he's like, all right, we got to wrap up. And he's getting ready to leave. And I go, Tim, he ain't going to go out this door. Let's go. We left, ran out the back door. As he's coming out, I start taking pictures as he's walking. And I have these pictures, right? I'm taking a picture and I go, Dwayne. I go, and I have a basketball and a Sharpie, right?
So cringe.
I have a basketball and a Sharpie. And I go, yo, will you sign my shirt? I have a basketball and a shirt. I go, will you sign my shirt? I have a button up with a tie on. He signs my shirt right here.
Wait. Like you were a server at the time?
No. I'm like a sales rep.
Oh, okay.
And he signs my shirt and his buddy's like, fucking signed your shirt. That's hilarious. And then I go, okay, sign the basketball too. And he goes, nah, man, I already signed your shirt. And he goes into his Sprinter van and I follow him into the Sprinter van with the basketball. I go, bro, please sign it. He goes, nah, man, I already signed your thing. And I go, all right, bye. And then that was it. And that was my first interaction meeting Dwayne Wade. And I was like a schoolgirl. This is 2008.
You're basically that female astronaut who drove across the country.
2008.
Yeah.
Then my second time meeting Dwayne Wade, I go to the Comedy Store. He's at the Comedy Store. I'm wearing his shoes, his Converse, his first ones. And he's in the back. And I walk up. I go, yo, I got your original Converse. He's like, oh, cool, man. And then that was it. And that was it.
You were like, you signed my sales shirt.
I should have. If I ever do meet him again, I will tell him that story. Because
Do you still have that shirt?
Yes.
Okay.
I have it back. It's probably at my parents' house and it's framed somewhere.
If you can somehow
I have a picture of it at least.
Get it done again, you got to be like, you need to sign the back this time.
I know that if I'm ever in a situation with him, it would be some sort of, comedic situation. Maybe then I would tell him that story and that would be cool. But oh yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I mean that was cool. We did the week 6 comics weddings. I got a wedding coming up, and I'm going to this weekend. If you're watching this, if you're watching this, we got Reno coming up. Okay, June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I'm in Reno. Get tickets at michaellenoci.com. Go to wedding. Weddings are big for me. Weddings are big for you. That's what I wanted to. We'll wrap up with this. What are we at time wise?
36.
36. Okay, you good at weddings?
I'm great at weddings.
Why? Well, Mark.
Yeah.
Like if we're at a wedding together for some reason, we're both at a wedding, neither of us are getting married, but someone's getting married, we're at the wedding. Like you're shining at this wedding?
I am shining.
Really?
Really?
Why? Are you a drinker? Are you getting drunk?
I'm not getting drunk, but I'm getting like loose.
I'll tell you right now, there's no such thing as Michael Lenoci not blacking out at a wedding. Like I'm going to have a blast. I'm going to eat a lot. I'm going to have a blast. I'm going to do funny dances and I'm going to have a blast. And you know what? If I'll do anything at a wedding, you tell me, you open my mouth, I'll do it, do it, throw it in there.
I might not be at your level of like just doing anything.
But you're a big dancer.
But I'll dance. I'm not getting blackout drunk. Let's be honest. I'm not throwing up.
No,
that
I'm
night.
not throwing up, but I'm saying like I'm like laughing. I'm drunk for sure.
But I will definitely be one of the centers of attention.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a big dancer?
Yeah.
Is it oldies or hip hop or what?
I love like Motown. My wedding was Motown.
What do you do when you move? It just doesn't seem like you can
just
move.
Do your thing.
Yeah, it is. You know what, the weddings are great because everybody gets to just be themselves.
Fair
and
enough.
there's no judgment because we're like, it's a wedding. What are you doing? Get going. So I got 2 weddings coming up in 3 weeks. And after that, I want to not drink for a while. But we'll see what happens. This is week 9.
Yeah.
Week 9 in the books. That's we're closing it. This is the 3rd month of this. And we're having fun and it's clean. What do you mean?
I'm just fucking with you.
Would you have more fun at a wedding? Of course we would.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap it up, guys. And I don't mean that for you because we want you to have kids. So thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. And we will get to those questions the following week, which could be 2 weeks ahead sometimes. Sorry about that because we shoot ahead. So we'll see you guys next time we shoot an episode. It will be June, if I'm not mistaken. Bye.